So my name is Phil Winder. I'm founder of Winder AI and Helix ML. Winder AI is an AI consultancy. We've been helping businesses build out their AI stuff since 2013, so long time. If you need help with any AI stuff, then let me know. Helix ML is a private LLM stack, and I'll talk about that a little bit more a bit later. I've only got 15 minutes, so I'm going to go really quickly. And very sort of vague, abstract, but it's asked to talk about data and openness and things, and it got me thinking. I like to use these talks to kind of push my thinking, and the two things came up. The first is data sovereignty and the case for data sovereignty and why it's important to individuals, why it's important to businesses. And then the second thing that kind of came out of this was the idea of exposing data within businesses is still really hard. Like trying to do analytics, trying to just speak to other people is still really hard. And I'm starting to come to the theory that LLMs are actually the perfect input-output interface to different parts of the business. So really quick demo if I've got time to do it. So let me start by saying I love open data. I think the use cases and the needs for open data are really strong and really powerful. We've got we're really lucky in the UK to have some really great open data providers from a variety of government and commercial sources. This is one that I did for a previous presentation, more sort of data science oriented presentation, where I wanted to ask the question whether there's still a north-south divide. There you go, it's come up again. And I did some analysis on like a geographical level, and the ONS provides some really fantastic fine-grained data sets. And this is a plot of, if you can see it, this is a plot of income-adjusted wealth in various parts of the country. So basically, you take the average income, you subtract all of the house prices and costs of living there and stuff, and you end up looking like this. And I think the answer is actually no. There isn't really a north-south divide in terms of income inequality anymore. The red band kind of extends quite far up to like Birmingham, Manchester area. The big disparity really is in Wales, lots of pale blue, and the East Coast. So it's kind of a centre and outside divide, not a north-south one anymore, which was an interesting finding. But this was only possible through the use of open data. There's more professional outfits that use this type of data to do even more important stuff, like Transparency International. They provide an index of the corruption index for each country, and that's again used by downstream commercial services and users, all again republished as open data. So definitely love open data and understand the reason for it. When you start thinking about how you can use your open data or your data on a personal level or a commercial level, you have to start thinking about the threats to that data. And there's a couple of interesting threats that exist. I've got to focus on a couple of them today. But just to pick a random one, like the cybersecurity threats are pretty obvious. Probably don't need to talk about that. The international law and espionage type problems. The vast majority of stories I hear from real companies about leaks of data is usually down to some sort of insider threat. It's a disgruntled employee, disgruntled engineer, things like that. So there are obvious problems as well. But I think the two things that I want to focus on is one, the government surveillance of data, and the corporate and data collection challenges at the top there. And specifically on the government surveillance, these are some notes from last time. And I kind of want to point out a couple of things that are still happening today. So we've still got all of our data that's being scraped by the various agencies, thanks to the trunk fiber networks that exist around the world. We've had European courts providing rulings that various interception of this traffic is not legal according to some laws, but unfortunately there's kind of national security exceptions everywhere. And there's the US Patriot Act, which is like an overarching legal precedent that allows the US government to access any data it wants to when it needs to. So these are kind of like examples of government-sponsored intrusions that you could face if you are trying to leverage and use internal data. I definitely recommend checking out the European Court ruling against GCHQ, which the link is there. And the main reason for that is due to the main reason why the UK is really important in this discussion is because of the place of where it's located in the national grid of fiber optic networks. This is a plot from the International Telecommunications Union, which is showing all of the fibers that are coming in and out of every country. And you can see there's a huge dense spot around the southeast of England here. And the fact is that the vast majority of transatlantic information comes in and out of the UK, goes across one of these trunk fibers going across the ocean. So that's why the UK is so involved and interested in this. And I think I started to go down this rabbit hole a little bit, and I'm going to describe it because I think it was very interesting. The rabbit hole was, why did we pick these locations? Because when you look at that map and you zoom in, it's like a random beach in Cornwall, or it's like a random basement in Bristol. Like, why are those fibers there? And so I started going down the rabbit hole, and one of the most recent ones that's been built was well, I think there's been one since actually, but there was a massive cable installed by Google recently in 2021 called Grace Hopper. And it was, and it's great. It's a massive amount of bandwidth that it provides to the UK, between the UK and the US. And right at the bottom of the BBC article, there's this little thing. The location of Bude was chosen because it was an ideal, nicely protected beach adjacent to lots of terrestrial infrastructure needed. I was like, Bude, it's like a tiny village in Cornwall. There's nothing there apart from nice beaches. So I was like, why Bude? Okay, so I started looking up like what's in Bude, and it turns out that in Bude, GCHQ still have a base there. They still have a site in Bude for signals intelligence. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this is getting a bit more interesting. Then you look up GCHQ Bude, and it turns out that GCHQ Bude was entirely funded by the National Security Agency. So the whole site was built by the NSA, and that's where the fiber's coming in. And Google are using it. So it's like, so I'm kind of like a little bit interested and worried about this government surveillance, and then you start looking at where cables are coming in. I'm not surprised that there's conspiracy theories behind all this stuff. Let's leave it there. The other aspect that I think is interesting is the use of data by commercial services for competitive gain. And this is the best article that I saw recently from OpenAI, that they're furious that another company has used their data without their permission. The irony, right? And I think that kind of all of these data threats, it kind of makes us think, like, how can we both personally and commercially protect ourselves against all of these threats? And one of the simplest ways of doing that is to attempt to establish secure perimeters for your data and ensure that you're not transmitting that data outside of those perimeters. So it's basic traditional software engineering security practices. One of the ideas that we have that we're trying to promote with that is we still want people to be able to take advantage of AI and LLMs in general, Gen AI in general. So we've started building a private, secure, on-premise if necessary, but in a private infrastructure Gen AI stack that you can use on all of your private data. If you can, leverage that, you can keep your data secure. Okay, ooh, perfect, 6 minutes. Right, part two. I think LLMs are really powerful because I don't think that data silos are a solved problem. Nobody really talks about data silos within businesses anymore. But I still see data silos everywhere. People unable to access the data that they need in a timely fashion. They don't know where to get it from. They're maybe doing an analytics type thing, but they still have to go to human-curated dashboards, which don't answer their question. So how do we expose institutionalized knowledge in a human-friendly way? LLMs are perfect for this. So what I've got here is a ridiculously quick example of a couple of AI agents that are connected to various internal business data sources. The demo I'm hopefully going to show in the last few minutes is this. We've got somebody representing, an AI representing the sales organization. And they're responsible for gathering leads, for doing sales, for generating proposals and things like that. But they need to communicate with the engineering department to make sure they're not saying anything stupid. When they're handing out their proposals, they need to make sure that the proposal has a plan that's sound and sane. So the sales agent is going to talk to an engineering agent to get a more nuanced view on the project. So let's take a quick look at that. Let's make that a bit bigger. And let's maximize that. All right, so this is what it looks like. I've got some code. We've got a lead agent, a sales engineer agent. They're all going to talk together, all right? This is not orchestrated in any way. I'm going to quickly run my lead agent. Hopefully that should work. Yeah, and this is an agent that's connected to a leads database. You know, fairly simple. We can ask various queries like this. And what this is going to do is it's going to go away to an LLM, connecting database to that LLM, provides some answers back from that database and produces some results. By the way, this is all using Helix on the back end, so it's not going out to OpenAI or anything. It's using our secure on-premise platform. And we can ask, you know, all sorts of interesting details. So I've just listed all of the leads that we received in the last month. This is a bit more information about a particular lead. Okay, so that's the sales agent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run, sorry, that was the lead agent. Now I'm going to run the sales agent, and this is the one that is going to run, let's say 46. So this is the agent that's now taking the information from the lead agent. It's asking questions from the lead agent. You know, there's nothing programmatic here. It's just natural language. It's then taking that and passing it across to a sales engineer agent, who is then doing project planning, project management, and then passing that information back to the sales agent, and then they're attributing costs to all of that. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, because this is multiple, you know, LLM calls that are going on in the background here. It's going to take a few seconds. Fingers crossed, we should end up with a nice-looking proposal. Tick. Tock, tick, tock. I've got 3 minutes. Come on, do it. It'll get there eventually, hopefully. Yes, there we go. Fantastic. And there, we've got a really nice looking automatically generated proposal based upon the lead information there. And this is just a dummy example, obviously. But my thesis, my idea is that wouldn't it be great if we could just connect each, and taking like a domain-driven design approach to this problem, where we're looking at the domains that exist within a business, drawing the boundaries, and creating agents at those boundaries to be able to communicate with the rest of the business. And then we can connect agents to agents and orchestrate them all together to do quite complex business processes. Yeah, and that can be applied to all kinds of domains, not just a business domain, but open data domain. We've got, you know, an expert in income wealth in the UK agent, you know, things like that. Yeah, fantastic. I can't believe that worked in time. So just to finish off, because I'm now nearly there, a bit of promo. We've got a workshop coming up in 30 minutes in the workshop room, which shows you how to get started with Helix. So definitely come and join us. That'll be a fun time. And yeah, connect to me. That's a QR code for my LinkedIn. So thank you very much. Goodbye.